You done lost your damn mind. When you get your damn mind, you call me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, it's your girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Squid Game Season 2, and let's get right into the video. So Season 2 of Squid Game came out, after a 2-year wait, 7 episodes. And in this season, they got into their psychology bag. They really dived into the mental, the behavioral, aspects of the players that they choose for this game. So it's been 2 years since Jihan, player 456, won, the Squid Games. He got the 45.6 billion won. And basically he was supposed to get on this plane and, I guess basically disappear. But he decided not to get on the plane. So with that being said, he's basically been spending his 2 years staking out, trying to find this recruiter guy who basically is attached to the games and to basically try to infiltrate the games or basically put the end to the games. So he's been spending 2 years hiring basically people to, stake out, trying to find this recruiter, whatever, so he can, I guess, get to the recruiter who can get to the front man and try to stop the games. Anyways, the first episode was on the recruiter, and it kind of started off a little bit slow, but after the first episode, by episode 2, you were like, oh yeah, we're getting into this. So the first episode was the recruiter, and I would say they definitely dived into their psychology bag because, the whole situation is that Jihan is basically saying like, oh, the people who made this game is preying on, the desperate people who doesn't really have a choice, whatever. And, basically just killing them off for their entertainment. So he's trying to put an end to this. So he's like, you're saying we have a choice, but you really don't have a choice. So the recruiter, they found the recruiter. He's basically, what he does, he's buys 100 scratch-offs and 100 pieces of bread. He goes to this homeless area where a bunch of people is homeless or whatever, sleeps out in the park. And he basically offers them a choice between a scratch off and the bread. And he's like, you choose one. Most people in that park pick the scratch off. So, that was their choice. But when they picked the scratch off, they made a gamble and they didn't win. They ended up not winning anything off the scratch off. So after that, he dumps the bread on the ground and stomps on it. They're like, you're wasting good food. What are you doing? But he's like, well, you made a decision to not have food and gamble your choice of having food for a scratch off. So that's basically the psychology of it. Like you live life by choices. You make your decision. Once you make the decision, you have to stick by your decision despite, the outcome of what you did. And that's basically life in psychology. And that's basically what the front man / the recruiter, their philosophy is going by. Jihan is like, the world is not necessarily black and white. He's like, there's a gray area, maybe there's some good in people, whatever. He's trying to be like the hero. And the front man and the recruiter's psychology is like, is black or white, is either good or bad, like you made your decision, da 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 da. So that's basically the psychology aspect of the show that they're leaning in really more into this season. So that was really interesting. We got Jung-hoo, he almost died off the cliff when he got shot, but he survived. And then from being a detective, he decided to go back into being like a traffic cop. But he also is kind of like still having type of PTSD about his brother being the front man and basically shooting him and killing him. I don't even think his brother knows that he's even alive still. But yeah, so Jung-hoo, he's like been looking for the island where the games were being played. He had no luck doing that. Jihan is doing the same thing, trying to find a recruiter. And then basically their, search for a recruiter, the games lines up perfectly. They, tag team the whole situation, had this whole operation. And then, the recruiter was a little bit, he lost his marbles. They playing Russian roulette. Okay, that was a bit playing Russian roulette, and he thought he had the odds in his favor, and Jihan was like, yeah, no. So he had to stick with his plan, his little Russian roulette game, and he lost. Jihan got the invitation to meet the front man, but it was basically for the twist, because the front man was basically basically speaking through a pig while he's in the front seat. And the thing is that they're having a conversation, Jihan and the front man, they're having a conversation, and basically saying like, what do you want to achieve? Like, what is your end goal? And he's basically put a stop to the games. Before they even do this, he puts a tracker device in his molar in his teeth. So he's like, okay, if I don't get to, put a stop to the games by speaking to the front man, whatever, then whatever they take me, I have a molar in my teeth. But the thing is, I guess they had a one-up on Jihan, even though Jihan been staking for 2 years. But yeah, so they basically put him in a limousine, and they had like snipers, basically following the limousine. And then whoever was following Jihan, they shot out their tires, whatever. They couldn't really follow him all the way to where he was going to. So all that happened in the first 2 episodes. They're setting up Jihan going back into the games, because he's like, oh, put me back into the games. So therefore, he thought his tracker was going to get whoever was following, Jung-hoo, his whole team, everybody else, to follow where he's going. But come to find out, they took that tracker out, his molar, as soon as he entered the games. And I'm just like, how you took the tracker out of his molar? Like, how do you even know about that? But you allow player 230 to have, drugs in his cross. Like, he's taking a pill every 5 seconds in his little cross necklace. But you found out that, Jihan had, a tracker in his molar. Like, wow. Like, you couldn't compensate that. And then you find out, I think the mother, the person's mother, had basically like a hair tie, whatever, like, what's it called, some type of needle in her hair. So I'm like, you got her to, smuggle that into her hair. He had something in his molar, in his teeth, and then this guy had drugs in his, cross necklace. But Jihan gets caught. Like, what? But anyways, so Jihan's in this game, and he's basically trying to be the hero. He's trying to save everybody. He's trying to make sure everybody comes out of these games alive. But what he does not know is that people are money hungry. It is a cold world out there. He's expecting everybody to be like, oh no, I don't want to play these games, da, 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 da. But you got these people in these, insurmountable debt that they can basically probably not going to be able to pay off in their lifetime without playing these games or having a chance to play these games or whatever. So they're going to be money hungry, play these games, gamble their life, because if you don't think they're not going to gamble their life, how do you think they ended up here? They made a gamble and with their life. Now, they didn't think they're going to die, but even when they went through the first game, which was red light, green light, saw people got shot and killed, had a choice to end the games, and they didn't end the games because more people wanted to stay in the games than not stay in the games. Like, that is what the front man is trying to tell you, that there is people, you have a decision, not everyone's gonna be, leaning into your philosophy that, to get out of these games. A lot of people are money hungry. It's a cold world out here, and they're feeding into the black and white idea of, good and bad or whatever. So come to episode 3, after red light, green light, You know, Gion, he basically, in Red Light Green Light, he's telling these, you know, people, he's like, I played these games before, just follow my lead, and I'll keep you guys safe. I'm the one who won this game. Him basically revealing his identity that he won these games before was his first mistake. I wouldn't tell anybody anything. You would just have to, you know, follow my lead if you want to or not. He's saying, oh, I won these games before. Because he told them that I won those games before, they're like, oh, well, if you could do it, I can do it too. So they all like, oh, well, if you pass these games, I'm going to pass these games too. Da, 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 da. So, and, you know, we can win money together. Da, da, da. So I'm just like, that was his first mistake. I wouldn't have told anybody anything. I mean, I would have helped because that's basically my main reason of being in here again. But he said he won these games, and that basically did not help his favor, because after that first vote, after red light, green light, they still wanted to continue into the second game, which was messed up. So the second game was supposed to be the cookie cutter game, and you were supposed to trace the thing. But come to find out, first plot twist, the front man, player one, in who? He decided to be the player one. And the thing is, that was his good transition of being player one, because when red light, green light, you don't know who is who. You just get dumped into a place. You don't know which number is which number. You don't really know anybody like that. But after red light, green light, they did the votes, whatever. He enters the game as player one. I'm like, oh wow. And the thing is, Jihan does not know. He does not know who he's speaking to. But the front man in who, he knows who he's speaking to. He knows he's conning this man blind. So anyway, he's player one. He like basically starts like befriending Jihan, player 456, whatever. And, you know, they basically stick together in the games. So, you know, that was good, but they clocked his T after that first game and was like, oh, you're not going to be smart in the second game. Second game, they switched the second game. It wasn't a cookie cutter game. They said you have to be in teams. You have to be in teams. And what you have to do is you have to be in teams of 6, be tied up together, and you have to play 5 different games. And you have to pass all these 5 different games. Okay? You have to pass all these 5 different games. So, which was messed up. Okay, like highly messed up. Because I believe they only played three of the games so far. So after red light, green light, it was I believe it was a 6-legged person race. And that was just like, whoa. They killed a lot of more people then. Then after that game was the Ring Around the Rosie game. And that game was brutal. That game was basically on par with the marbles game, because it just showed how messed up it was. Thanos, the purple head dude, he was just like he was just basically off that stuff. Like, bro, the way he's trying to bully, but the MG coin dude, he's trying to bully him, basically like, oh, you made me invest in these coins, Bitcoin or whatever, and I lost all my money, da 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 da. So wherever you win, you owe me plus interest, da 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 da. And then the thing is that he has, you know, his ex-girlfriend, whatever, you know, she's with child in these games with a child on the way. So you got this mother-son duo, and you got this guy who has his, you know, ex-girlfriend with her child on the way in these games that you could basically be shot on command if you didn't finish the game right, whatever. So I'm just like, about like the stakes are a little bit high, okay? The mother-son duo, the girl with the child, like all of that's going on. So with that being said, Thanos, he was just basically like, when he got taken out of the games, I fear it was his time. Like, it was either MG Coin or him. Like, I'm so not sorry, but like, he needed to go if that's what he was gonna do to him. Because MG Coin, he's not necessarily bad, because that's what this show is basically showing you. There is like a gray line. It's not black and white. There's like a gray line, and that's where MG Coin is showing, you know, even though he seemed being like a deadbeat, almost a deadbeat to his unborn child. You know, he does seem to care about, the girl, and I forgot her name because I just gotta remember the numbers, but the girl who's with child for sure. The mother-son duo, when we got to the Ring Around the Rosie game, when we got to that game, and they took the son and got him into the room, left his mother out there. And then if it wasn't for Jihan and player one taking the mother in the room, she would have got shot. And I'm just like, they're like, what happened to your son? Like, what happened? What happened? Did he got separated? And she's like, he wouldn't leave me, in denial. And I'm just like, lady, your son left you for dead. Like, for real, he left you for dead. So I don't know. It was messed up. It was highly messed up. That Ring Around the Rosie game was so brutal. Like, you don't even know. Because the Thanos, player 125, Thanos, and the girl, and I think that's the little 4-person team that was going on right there. They played rock paper. They were like, oh, you need to play a team of 3. So they were supposed to do rock paper scissors, to decide who goes into the room with each other. He basically decides to, she decided not to play, and she just had her hands as paper or just as stand still. He decided to still play and use scissors, beating her, and left her for dead, essentially. Left her for dead. And then the thing is, when they were like, oh, 2 people, he got left for dead himself. So I'm just like, you see, what comes around comes back around, because you left your friend, the person who basically took you in to be in a group, for dead, and you left her for dead, which was messed up. And the thing is, when they were having a talk, and they were like, oh, if you're both 27 years old, why are you letting this guy bully you around? You're both the same age. Like, you want to be with the crowd so bad, letting him bully you around and tell you what to do. Like, come on now. Like, he decided to, buck up a little too late, when he decided to switch his vote at the end, and he decided to, throw the glass bottle on the floor to, help her have a weapon. But unfortunately, that weapon became the weapon to end the girl's life, so which was very unfortunate. So back to Jihan, player 456, and player 1 basically having this friendship going. I feel like he almost caught on, but I was like, well, what was the game that started to show when I think as Jungbei, his friend, I think is 380, when his friend in the number 380, which was his best friend, he was like, yeah, I think when it was 2 players and there was a person in the room, that was stone cold. He basically decided, oh, 2 players? I'm glad that he saved Jungbei, because Jungbei would have been left for dead in that Ring Around the Rosie game. But he basically pushed that guy out, took him out the room, but then there was somebody else in the room. So he basically choked him out, basically killed him, and then brought Jungbei in. So Jungbei was like, yeah, that's stone cold. That was stone cold for real. So then what happened after that, he was trying to tell, the team, hey, player 1 is a little bit, suspect, because he kind of stone cold. And I really thought when the last vote, I thought player 1 was gonna switch his vote. So yeah, they only played 3 games this season, which was red light, green light, the 6-leg, game, and Ring Around the Rosie. And then what happened was there was the bathroom brawl where 5 players got killed, and then the entire brawl that happened when basically the O's wanted to kill off the X's. So let's get down to the last episode, which ended off on the cliffhanger. The plan that 456 Jihan came up with was not good. Because before the previous vote, when Jihan was like, let's go rally up, talk to some of these O's, and like see if they switch their mind, like let's go talk to them, and they stopped him, I think, and they're like, oh, would that would create violence or whatever. So he's like, oh, we can't just sit back and do nothing. That's what, Jihan was saying. So now he basically was like, oh, hide under the beds, don't make a move, don't intervene, whatever. He basically left his ex's team for dead. He's telling player one his entire plan that they're going to infiltrate, the thing and get into the front man's, the command room, whatever. So they're going to jump the masked players, the masked, soldiers, whatever, and get the guns off them and basically find their way up to the command room. So, player one listening to all of this, you left your team for dead. Anyways, with that being said, they're like, the old man, the mother and son duo, and then, the girl who's with child and MG Coin, they did not decide, to participate in that takeover, which is understandable because you literally have a old lady and a person who's with child. Like, I don't think the odds were not in their favor. I mean, maybe MG Coin, but the plan was bleak because everybody, did not make it out at all. So coming to it, what happened is they decided to overtake whatever. Player one listening to it, he's taking notes. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna follow you. Yeah. What happened is they end up going over. They're doing good. I forgot the player's name, but the guy who was like the ex-Marine, as well as player 380, Jungbei, he, I guess, gets PTSD, and like he's supposed to get the extra ammo off the, the dead soldiers and the dead, mass players, whatever. He's supposed to get the ammo off. He has basically a PTSD episode, leaves them basically without any ammo, without any bullets. Is only 3 people manning that side of the stairwell, whatever. Player 120 had to run back to, the little sleeping area, quarters, whatever, and like ask what's going on, what's going on. Basically, as soon as she comes back, they already had the thing under control. So, and if it wasn't for the old lady, she was like, yeah, don't do it because you're not going to make it out. I mean, granted, it was one of her against 10, 15 of them coming into the room. So it wasn't going to be a good look at all. Now, back to the whole overtake. Jihan, he was too trusting of player one. I'm just like, after Ilnam basically played you in the first games, you trusting a player one so closely like that was your first mistake. You shouldn't have done that. Anyways, player one put the long game, the con artist to a T. The way that he basically shot his 2 people, the thing is, they were showing you, because when they were shooting out at the masked players, he was just sitting down and just like keeping watch. He didn't even shoot at them. He didn't kill any of them. It was mostly Junhoon, Jungbei, and I think player 120 was actually shooting at the masked players accurately, because frontman, he wasn't really killing them. He didn't kill them. But when the person that they had hostage at first, when he recognized who the frontman was, or player one was, he got shot. They shot him. So, I mean, that was like saved by the bell, whatever. Anyways, back to when he basically betrays Jihan, kills the 2 people on the side. He pretends to fake his death and gets killed. Then they don't have any ammo. So because they heard like, oh, maybe we'll, surrender, they'll let us live. surrender. You killed off over 100 of those masked players. You think they're gonna let you live? Like, your lucky player 456 is basically liked by, you know, Inho, frontman, player 1, because if he wasn't, he would have got shot just like Junbei. Like, hello? Anyways, they surrendered, and, you know, he sees that the frontman comes downstairs, basically meets him face to face, quote unquote, with, you know, with the master on. And I'm just like, he really played the long game, because I'm just like, he risked his life to play these games. Well, I don't even think he even played red light, green light. He played the the six-letter race, and he played the ring around the rosy race, which was 2 crucial games, because I'm like, those games are a little bit like, he was counting down to the seconds, because when he pretended to not do the spinning top thing properly, I'm like, bro, you got 30 seconds. And still Jihan still had to do the last game. He still had to kick the thing. Like, you wasted 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. I think it was 3 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. And this dude wasted all of 3 minutes, leaving Jihan with 30 seconds to kick the thing 5 times. I'm like, bro, you like cutting it way too close. Like, way too close. Let's talk about, you know, Jung-hoo and his team on the ship. Captain Park is suspect. I'm like, when, I think it's Woosak, whatever, I forgot his name. I guess Woosak, the guy who basically told him the entire plan, like, oh, this is the, you know, this is the entire plan, da 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 da, and he's telling it to Captain Park. He wasn't supposed to do that, because Captain Park basically like played the mind game to get him to reveal information to him. He was like, oh, since you already know everything, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you the whole plan. That was a mind game, dude. But obviously he wasn't like, you know, privy enough, smart enough to catch up on it. Anyways, he basically took the drone, and I guess was like messing with the drone. And I guess the guy, he was like, he had like, you know, seasickness, whatever. Even though he had seasickness, he was like, no, what are you doing? But I'm like, this guy literally had a screwdriver. You're gonna let a guy who had a screwdriver in his hand, who looks suspect, talk to you one-on-one on a rocking ship, on a rocking boat? Like, no, I would have just peeped it and wait till the morning when everybody was up to really say something, because everybody was asleep. He had a screwdriver in his hand. He took the screwdriver, stabbed the guy who basically operates the drone, and threw him overboard. So, like, what's like that's so messed up. Anyways, that's basically the end of season 2. Left off on the cliffhanger. Ji-hung, he was a little bit too trusting to player 1. That was his first mistake. Also, his plan to basically leave the exes for dead, you know, was messed up, because if he actually told them like, oh, hide under your beds, or hide, or find someplace safe to stay because they're gonna go attack you, he would have had a better, you know, chance. But I guess for the sake of the plan, just like how, you know, player 1 Inho was basically telling him, so you're willing to sacrifice a few people for the sake of the rest. Like, deep it. You're willing to sacrifice some people for the greater good. You're not really supposed to do that. You're supposed to try to save everybody. But I guess he realized at the end that you can't save everybody. And he's really leaning in towards you know, the front man's philosophy. Like, you can't save everybody. Everybody has their own decision. You make your own choices, da 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 da. So, I mean, in the games, these 3 games that he played, he realizes that you can't save everybody. You know, everybody's going to be money hungry. Everybody's going to make their own decisions, their own choices. And that's the whole philosophy. The front man, he operates these games, but he's obviously working for the VIPs. The VIPs basically pay for the games to be watched. And, you know, whatever, they're probably the ones generating the money, the 45 billion won. Also, they're also doing the same, organ harvest in this season where they're trying to find organs. But I'm like, for who? Who is the organs for? Because Ilnan is dead. So who are you organ harvesting for? Like, what are you trying to find it for? But there's that. Also, player 11, or not player 11, but 11, the guard 11, whatever. Well, I don't know what's really her story behind it, I guess, because she had basically an affinity to the younger girl who I guess was battling some type of sickness. And I guess she had her own story where she lost a kid before or whatever. But I'm just like, she was stone cold because in red light, green light, the guy was still alive. He made it over the line at the finish line and she still shot him dead. And I'm just like, yo, that was stone cold. What do you do? But I'm just like, I guess she doesn't want the front man or whoever to get the organs. But I'm like, I don't know what's up with that. We'll find out later in a season 3. But yeah, season 2 was actually pretty good. I was like tuned in. Jihyun, you were very silly. You were being very silly. And later on, you kind of basically look at the season as, the front man is not such a bad guy, basically with the season, because you see how the people on the O side or whatever was acting. You see like people like player 100, player 230, player 120, I believe 124 was acting. You see how they act, and you look at them and you're like, oh, you see how Jihan is trying to save everybody. And it's just like, you see what the front man is talking about, what the recruiter is talking about. Everybody has a decision, everybody has choices, and this is what they do with their choices. But anyway, watch season 2 is on Netflix. Season 3 is coming out later this year, which is pretty good. Having a season come out within 6 months of each other, I don't know. I'm kind of, they kind of eat it right now. Hello? But anyway, guys, if you guys like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and subscribe to my channel, subscribe. And thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.